What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, May 29th, 2025, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 23:48 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you guys on the situation in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe. So if you weren't watching my live stream yesterday, we had dozens of high priority nuclear codes transmitted by U.S. nuclear forces. As many as 57 Skymaster messages were transmitted yesterday afternoon and yesterday evening, and also as many as 67 standard priority nuclear codes were transmitted. So 57 high priority Skymaster nuclear codes and 67 standard priority emergency action messages. So well over 100 nuclear codes transmitted yesterday, and this has to be a record or close to it. And if you don't know what a Skymaster message is, it's one of the highest priority nuclear codes transmitted by U.S. nuclear forces. There's also the Sky King message, which is slightly higher priority than Skymaster. And then the highest priority is what's known as the Emergency War Order, which is the actual order to launch nukes given from the president. Okay, so this is just below the order to launch nukes. This is absolutely insane. And this was not an exercise. There were some people out there, including Neat Intel, claiming that this was an exercise, and this was not an exercise, guys. They do not do exercises on primary nuclear war frequencies, okay? And the reason why they don't do that, because imagine if your local 911 was doing emergency testing on the 911 line, okay? What would happen if somebody called 911 and had a real emergency, but the line was busy with the local fire department and police department doing an exercise on it? So that's why they don't do exercises on primary nuclear frequencies, because those frequencies have to stay available 24/7, because if there's a surprise nuclear attack, the U.S. has minutes to respond, potentially even seconds, okay? Seconds matter in that situation, and if they're clogging up the frequency with an exercise, then that's a liability, okay? So I want to just play a sample of one of these Skymaster messages. Again, 57 Skymaster messages. This is probably in the same level of magnitude as the Culinary Night of last year. If you don't know what Culinary Night was, I recommend you go to my Rumble channel, rumble.com/NYPrepper. The link is in the description down below. And watch my live stream from Culinary Night. It's right on my main page on Rumble. YouTube deleted it. They said it was misinformation. But we had dozens and dozens of these Skymaster messages on Culinary Night last April when Iran and Israel were exchanging missiles, okay? So here's a sample of one of these Skymasters from yesterday.
Skymaster, this is Provo 11 on 11175, over.
So he said, Skymaster, this is Provo 11 on 11175, which is the frequency. Okay, let me play that for you again.
Skymaster, this is Provo 11 on 11175, over.
So guys, something big is about to happen. If they transmitted this many Skymaster messages and emergency action messages, over 100 nuclear codes in 24 hours is absolutely insane. And it could be for any reason, okay? And I'm going to update you guys on some of the other things going on around the world. But we have to be on very high alert for something happening over the next few days, okay, especially in the Middle East and in Ukraine. And despite objections from the U.S. president, Israel's prime minister has ordered the Israeli military to prepare for an attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, according to Ynet. Ynet is an Israeli media outlet, okay? So the Israeli prime minister has ordered the Israeli military to prepare for a potential attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, okay? This is coming out just in the last 24 hours, all right? And this confirms what was said a couple of days ago, that the Israeli prime minister was planning to strike Iran, and that Israel has been doing exercises and preparing their air force for strikes on Iran, according to various intelligence reports. And the U.S. told the UN Security Council, if Russia decides to continue the war in Ukraine, the U.S. will have to consider stepping back from negotiation efforts. And the German Chancellor confirmed that Germany and Ukraine will be partnering to build Taurus missile factories in Ukraine, and Ukraine will not have any range restrictions on using those Taurus missiles. Wow. Okay, so this is huge news. This is one of Russia's red lines. They've said over and over that if Ukraine gets Taurus missiles, then it would be World War III. So this could potentially be the reason for all these Skymaster messages. But Germany will be building factories for Taurus missiles inside of Ukraine, and Ukraine will be able to strike anywhere in Russia with those missiles, okay? That is huge. And we're hearing that the first batch of Taurus missiles funded by Germany and produced in Ukraine could be ready within weeks, according to the German Defense Ministry. And Russia will destroy the Taurus missile plant in Germany using the Oreshnik, according to Russian media. The Russian media outlets were saying that they qualify this as Germany's entry into the war against the Russian Federation. And they said that the Taurus manufacturing plant is the only one in Germany, and that the plant is located far from urban areas. So a strike on it in the evening or at night would not result in human casualties. They said 2 Oreshnik missile systems would be suitable for such a strike. So that would be crazy, guys. Imagine if we wake up tomorrow to news that Russia launched missiles at Germany and destroyed a Taurus missile plant. Absolutely insane, okay? And the former Prime Minister of Russia and former President of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, said Germany is actively involved in the conflict. Its equipment and specialists are directly engaged against Russia. This is not just about military aid, but full-scale participation. Wow, so Russian media, Dmitry Medvedev, and numerous other figures in Russia are saying that Germany is now part of the conflict and they're part of the war. And Medvedev also responded to what the U.S. president said about Putin playing with fire and that really bad things could happen to Russia. And he said, I only know of one really bad thing, World War III. I hope the U.S. president understands this. Wow. And the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said direct involvement in the war is already obvious. Germany is sliding down the same slope it has gone down a couple of times in the past century, leading to its collapse. Wow. And we're hearing that Russia is massing a large number of bombers near the border of Ukraine for a massive attack, potentially in the coming days. Russia has prepared as many as 10 to 11 Tu-95 Bear bombers, 3 Tu-160 bombers, and 4 to 5 Tu-22 bombers. Absolutely insane. And in the last 4 days, 8 Ilyushin-76 military transport aircraft have delivered cargo to the Engels II bomber base, which Russia uses to bomb Ukraine. Such high activity has not been observed since the beginning of the war. Wow. So 8 large Russian military cargo planes arriving at the Engels bomber base. Huge news. And the Ukrainian president had to cut his visit to Germany short earlier in the week due to increasing Russian military activity in the Sumy region. So Russia has invaded the Sumy Oblast of Ukraine, and they're preparing to go into Kharkiv. They have massed as many as 50,000 troops on the border of Sumy and Kharkiv, okay? And we have some major breaking news coming in from Russia. 2 million documents leaked detailing Russia's entire nuclear program, including facilities, locations, weapon grades, projects, structural vulnerabilities, and very detailed blueprints. Russia is modernizing its nuclear weapons sites, including underground missile silos and support infrastructure. Data including building plans, diagrams, equipment, and other schematics is accessible to anyone in the public procurement database. Journalists from Danwatch and Der Spiegel scraped and analyzed over 2 million documents from the public procurement database, which exposed Russian nuclear facilities, including their layout, in great detail. The investigation unveils that European companies participate in modernizing them. Danwatch jointly reports that hundreds of detailed blueprints of Russian nuclear facilities exposed in procurement databases makes them vulnerable to attacks. An enormous Russian security breach has exposed the innermost parts of Russia's nuclear modernization, the article read. It's completely unprecedented. The journalist used proxy servers in Russia, Kazakhstan, and Belarus to circumvent network restrictions and access the documents. The rich multimedia in the report details the inner structure of bunkers and missile silos. The leaked documents, as recent as the summer of 2024, reveal numerous new facilities built across all of Russia. Entire bases have almost leveled and been rebuilt from the ground up. Hundreds of new barracks, watchtowers, control centers, and storage buildings have been erected, and several kilometers of underground tunnels have been excavated, the Danish publication writes. The report lists detailed descriptions of nuclear-based security systems, including layers of electric fences, seismic and radioactivity sensors, explosion-proof doors, and others. Russia's strategic missile forces have around 900 active warheads and are central to the country's nuclear deterrence strategy. The Danwatch report marks the areas from which Russia can launch its long-range ballistic missiles, carrying the largest nuclear weapons in existence capable of destroying entire cities. So this is huge news, guys. A massive leak. 2 million documents detailing Russia's entire nuclear program have been leaked out. And this is not fake news. This is real. Absolutely insane. And we're hearing that the U.S. and Iran are close to reaching a comprehensive nuclear deal, and it could be signed at the next meeting in the coming days, CNN reported, citing sources familiar with the matter. So if the U.S. and Iran sign a deal in the coming days and it's not favorable to Israel, Israel will take unilateral action to neutralize Iran's nuclear weapons, okay? And Russia proposed another round of direct talks in Istanbul in Turkey on June the 2nd. And Ukrainian drones attacked Moscow last night, causing airports across the region to close. And Taiwan said a Chinese vessel attempted to approach the Pratas Island, which is part of Taiwan's territory, with its automatic identification system turned off. Okay, so that's the system that tracks boats in the water. Okay, it's like a license plate. It's a beacon that locates where vessels are, and you can see where vessels are. So China turned this system off while they were approaching this island that's administered by Taiwan. And for the first time in 5 years, China deployed 2 H-6 bombers to the disputed Woody Island in the Paracel Islands in the South China Sea. And the state secretary of the Security Council of Belarus warned Ukraine that Oreshnik will be deployed in Belarus by the end of 2025. And a 3-judge panel has ruled to temporarily halt the U.S. president's global tariffs that he imposed, citing emergency economic powers, meaning that the bulk but not all of his tariffs are put on standstill. And Austrian intelligence is reporting that Iran has an advanced nuclear weapons program with missiles capable of delivering warheads over long distances. A new intelligence report claims Iran is continuing with its active nuclear weapons program, which it says can be used to launch missiles over long distances. The startling intelligence gathering of Austrian officials contradicts the assessment of the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard told a Senate Intelligence Committee in March that the American intelligence community continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon and that the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003. Austria's version of the FBI, the Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution, wrote Monday in an intelligence report, in order to assert and enforce its regional political power ambitions, the Islamic Republic of Iran is striving for comprehensive rearmament with nuclear weapons to make the regime immune to attack and to expand and consolidate its dominance in the Middle East and beyond. The Austrian Domestic Intelligence Agency report added, the Iranian nuclear weapons development program is well advanced, and Iran possesses a growing arsenal of ballistic missiles capable of delivering nuclear warheads over long distances. According to an intelligence document obtained and reviewed by Fox News Digital, Iran has developed sophisticated sanctions evasion networks, which has benefited Iran. Very interesting. So this is huge news, guys. Okay, Austrian intelligence is contradicting what the U.S. ODNI director, Tulsi Gabbard, said, that she said Iran is not producing nuclear weapons, but Austria says that they are producing nuclear weapons and that their program is advanced. They're in the advanced stages, okay? And the U.S. president on Wednesday confirmed that he told the Israeli prime minister last week to back off any moves to strike Iran as negotiations on its nuclear program remain ongoing. He said, "I'd like to be honest. Yes, I did," he said in response to a reporter's question on the issue. "It's not a warning. I said I don't think it's appropriate." Wow. In a letter obtained by Fox News, the Iranian foreign minister warned the UN Security Council on Thursday of catastrophic consequences should Israel strike its nuclear infrastructure, and warned the government of the U.S. that they would bear legal responsibility for it. Wow. And a 5.2 magnitude earthquake struck southern Iran overnight, and over the weekend there was a 4.9 magnitude earthquake. Sounds like Iran is testing weapons, nuclear weapons. This 5.2 magnitude earthquake was located 121 kilometers north of Minab in the Hormozgan province, and the depth was only 10 kilometers, which is very shallow. And Putin is getting dangerously close to burning the Golden Bridge that the U.S. president has set out before him, said a U.S. presidential administration official. And the Cambodian army is massing troops and artillery along the border with Thailand following the death of a Cambodian soldier in a brief clash with Thai forces. And the U.S. moved a number of B-52s to Guam recently. Andersen Air Force Base, located in Guam, serves as a strategic staging area for projecting power across the region and acts as a deterrent against potential Chinese naval expansion. The U.S. Pacific Air Forces confirmed that a bomber task force deployment of multiple B-52 Stratofortress bombers arrived at the airbase this month, supporting strategic deterrence missions in the Indo-Pacific region. This coincides with the U.S. redeployment of its Nemesis ship-sinking missile system in the Philippines as part of strategic war games involving the Philippines, South Korea, Japan, and the UK. These drills, named Exercise Commandag 9, will continue until June and focus on the global importance of maritime security, building multinational maritime domain awareness. So this is huge news, guys, okay? Multiple B-52s going to Guam, and the U.S. has deployed an anti-ship missile system in the Philippines at the same time. The U.S. Air Force deployed its second bomb wing, a B-52 bomber unit typically based at Louisiana's Barksdale Air Force Base, to Guam. So the second bomb wing went to Guam. A video posted by the force indicates that an unspecified number of bombers have been deployed. The caption of the video states that bomber task force missions provide opportunities to train and work with regional allies. And Britain is considering permanently stationing troops in the Arctic, similar to its deployment in Estonia, as part of a broader effort to deter Russian aggression in the region. And NATO will raise its target for the total number of brigades that member states must provide in the future to between 120 and 130. Wow. And Germany signed a $2.2 billion contract with Deal Defense to supply Ukraine with Iris-T air defense missile systems. And according to information published by the British Royal Air Force, on May 27th, 2 Royal Air Force Typhoon fighter jets were scrambled from their deployed operating base in northern Poland to intercept a Russian Ilyushin Il-20M intelligence surveillance aircraft that approached NATO airspace over the Baltic Sea near the northeastern airspace boundary of Poland. On Saturday, May 24th, 2025, the Typhoons operating from Malbork Air Base as part of the UK's Operation Chessman deployment responded under NATO's enhanced air policing mission after 3 separate pairs of NATO aircraft had already shadowed the Ilyushin 20M. Wow. So this is the 4th Russian aircraft to fly into NATO airspace. Okay, we had Russian fighter jets fly into Finland last week, and then the week before they flew into Estonia, and last week they also flew into Poland's territorial airspace, and now they are sending reconnaissance aircraft. Okay, so clearly they're testing NATO. And Ukraine and Finland signed a statement on the establishment of the Civil Protection Shelter Coalition. The purpose of the coalition is to coordinate the efforts of partners in the construction of shelters, exchange best practices in this area, create and support financing mechanisms for the construction of civil protection facilities. So, in case you guys are not aware, Finland has some of the best bunkers in the world. Underneath Helsinki, the capital of Finland, there's a massive bunker complex, and Finland has literally turned their underground metro system into bunkers for nuclear war that have blast doors that can lower down so people can hide inside of the metros, and then they'll lower these blast doors, okay? And this was built because of the Winter War when Russia invaded Finland. And then later on during the Cold War, the Finns were afraid that the Soviets may try to attack them or nuke Helsinki, so they started building these massive bunkers. And the U.S. Secretary of State announced that the U.S. will begin revoking visas of some Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or those studying in critical fields. And the U.S. deployed an advanced missile launcher in range of Chinese naval fleet. The U.S. has deployed a powerful missile launcher capable of striking naval targets up to 115 miles away in the Philippines amid the presence of the Chinese Navy in the South China Sea. The Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System, or NEMESIS, is a mobile ground-based system designed specifically for maritime warfare operations and can be used in challenging terrains. Wow. And the EU's Sentinel-2 satellite shows that the Chinese Shandong aircraft carrier has been deployed to the north of the disputed Paracel Islands in the South China Sea. The carrier just left from a port in Hainan. This also comes as the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier entered the South China Sea from the southwest via the Singapore Strait 2 days ago. For the first time ever, a U.S. and Chinese carrier could come face to face. So we have a U.S. aircraft carrier and a Chinese aircraft carrier in the same sea now. Absolutely insane. And South Korea's military reported that a K-6 machine gun accidentally fired a live round towards North Korea during a firearm check at a GOP unit in Yangju, Gyeonggi province around 5 p.m. on May 28th. The South immediately notified the North with no unusual response detected. So the South accidentally fired a machine gun into North Korea. And the Indian Prime Minister said that Operation Sindoor is not over, and India announced that drills will begin on May 31st along the entire India-Pakistan border. Wow. And Elon Musk has officially left the U.S. presidential administration. He is no longer working there. And World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab has launched a criminal complaint against whistleblowers whose accusations led to his ousting as the chief of the World Economic Forum. Wow. And Venus is concealing at least 3 city-killer asteroids that could strike Earth in weeks without warning, potentially wreaking havoc upon our planet before we can react. The international research team led by Valerio Caruba of Sao Paulo University in Brazil wrote that at least 3 of the asteroids that circle the Sun in tandem with our twin planet have unstable orbits that take them dangerously close to Earth, the Daily Mail reported. If this shaky trajectory is shifted only slightly by a small gravitational change or other force, the asteroids could be set on a collision course with our planet per the study. Wow, so guys, this is absolutely insane. We have 3 asteroids that could become dislodged from their orbit around Venus. And yesterday during the Skymaster messages, we had this U.S. Air Force VIP plane leave a doomsday bunker in Colorado Springs and fly to Washington, D.C. So some kind of VIP was rushed from NORAD HQ, Cheyenne Mountain, to D.C. yesterday. So something is probably imminent. And then we had some sub-hunters off the coast of Panama City in Florida yesterday during the Skymaster situation. And here's just a small sampling of all of the strategic aircraft that were airborne yesterday during the Skymaster event. We had an AWACS plane in Fairbanks, Alaska that was airborne during the Skymaster messages. We also had 2 nuclear war command and control planes. We had a U.S. government VIP plane fly from Brownsville, Texas to Chihuahua, Mexico. And then from Chihuahua, Mexico, it flew to Colorado Springs, which is very, very unusual. We also had a B-52 nuclear bomber lingering in California during the Skymaster messages. And here we have satellite imagery of the Chinese bombers that have been deployed to the Paracel Islands for the first time in several years. This is very, very concerning. Okay, these are the H-6 bombers. And not too long ago, the U.S. sent a B-52 to Morocco for a joint exercise with Moroccan F-16s. Here you can see a picture of several Moroccan F-16s escorting a B-52. Sounds like they're preparing to strike Iran. And then here we actually have some video footage. Check this out. But that's all the breaking news that I have for now. I will be back later on today with more breaking news, and make sure you're subscribed. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 P's: prepare, practice, and persevere. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is NYPrepper Supply. Guys, NYPrepper Supply has brought back their $200 discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. That's preparewithnyprepper.com to get $200 off the NYPrepper Supply 3-month emergency food supply. This is freeze-dried food, so it has a 25-year shelf life, and it's all packed within 6 rugged watertight buckets, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. You can easily fit this in a small closet in a studio apartment, and the food has all of your essential vitamins and minerals and up to 2,000 calories per day. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get the NYPrepper Supply 3-month emergency food supply, 25-year shelf life for just $500. That's $200 off their normal price. So use the link in the description below this video.